trained English teacher. What's the problem in Taiwan's education? Because the students after they graduate from elementary school, they don't know how to open their mouth to speak English. They can only memorize a lot of vocabulary.
Yes.
So, the first of all, I need to ask you, what's the problem in Taiwan's English education?
Yeah. Well, since I got here, what I have noticed is it's a lot of memory work. It's a lot of information they're learning, but no depth to it. It's just very superficial. I'm just doing this because by repetition, but there's no meaning to it. They don't participate. They don't see themselves engaged in the language. And that's what I've been trying to do since I've come here in Taiwan, is to make it real for the children. To when they say something, they should be emotional. It should be something they could identify with. It can make them happy or sad, where they can participate. And by participating, they would remember it. They would record it. If you reflect back in your own education, the things you enjoy are the things you will remember. And the things that you enjoy motivates you to learn more. If it's not motivating you to learn more, you don't like it. You want to avoid it. So I get the feeling that for many of the kids, it's just repetition and over and again, and it has no meaning for them. So there's no need to remember it. There's no need to retrieve the information when they need to. So the language must be a live and living thing that when I need it, it will just come automatically. Somebody asks me a question in English, I should be able to respond in English without having to think, oh, how do I spell the word? What does it look like? Where did I see that before? How do I make the association with what they're asking me? Because in a second language, you always think of the spelling. You look for a visualization somewhere in the back of in your memory bank. And then when you remember, then you speak. So there's a delay. There's a delay between what you hear and how you respond. So unless the language becomes automatic and it's real, then there's no need to use it. Because in the environment, it's not regularly used. One teacher mentioned to me last week, Miss Teacher Ann, she said it has been 10 years since she's met someone to practice her English. And that's because came to the school. Now she can practice her English. Now she's happy herself because she's learning new words. She feels motivated to exercise. Yeah, it has been sitting dormant for the last 10 years, and maybe her language skill might be very high, but because she teaches elementary school, she's repeating the same thing over and over again, not expanding her imagination. We were laughing and having some fun, and you said, if I stay here, the teacher's English is so bad that the longer I stay, my English would drop. Yeah? So, so we know that as a reality, that if we associate ourselves with people or things at a lower level, then we tend to gravitate towards that. If we associate with people and an environment with a higher level, then we raise our skills to a higher level. So tell me your friend, show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are. Right? So we do that by association. And as educators, we know that. We know that because we see it with students. You know, if you see their friends and the people they play with and hang around with, that's how they would probably be in the future. So we make these projections.
only 1 or 2 classes a week. After the 1 or 2 classes, when they go home, or maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you are not here.
Right.
Yes?
Right.
How can the students to improve their English, to learn English? What's the way? Some suggestions for the students to improve their English, to practice their English when you are not here.
Yeah. I guess we can watch cartoons or children shows in English. There's a great series called Sesame Street. Sesame Street was a program done in the United States to teach kids the alphabet and using very funny ways of helping them to relate to things in the environment. And they have a very good series for that. So watching cartoons, reading storybooks in English, images in English, reading, special books they can take home from the library. I guess the newspaper, but I don't see any English newspaper around. But comic books, kids are attracted by color, and they watch Batman and they watch WWE. They like these things because it's full of action and they enjoy it. So maybe some comic books about wrestling in English that they want to know more about, because naturally they're motivated towards learning about it. Or foods, vegetables, things that they like. We have to think in terms of their level, what motivates them, and what they want to do with it. Or they can go online. I don't know how many of them may have access to computers outside of school, or iPads. Many young kids now have iPads. They're always walking around with it, always doing something. And computers is very motivating because they're excited about it. And if it's in English, then they'll automatically learn English because they have to read in English. They have to understand in English. So their reading skills will develop faster. To encourage them to engage with English, read the English, do things in English, and then after a while, it will become automatic. And so just surround them with books, materials, colorful things, things that make them happy. For example, the presentation this morning on the fire thing, I thought it was a little bit boring for kids this age. There were pictures there, but there were a lot of writing, and I don't think the kids would really enjoy it that much. That's the feeling I got. But if they had a video or pictures and images, it would have been much more effective. Yeah, instead of standing there on a microphone and talking with a small plaque. So many, like the lessons that we do is very good because it's situational. It gives you a situation, so the kids have to think about, how do I resolve this? How do I go from point A to point B? These are the different ways. So they're motivated to learn. It's a hot day. What do I do? Do I want to stay inside and do homework, or do I want to go play? So there must be something engaging for them, and then have the vocabulary around that to engage them. So it's the engagement. Again, in the home situation, I guess in this rural area, the parents themselves may not have the resources at home, and they may not know English either. So they're inundated with only Chinese, but very little experience in English. And just at school you get this little bit of English, but nowhere else to practice. So important for young people and in the developing world, because it will transcend would go higher than what you can physically have. They can look at a movie in the United States. They can see things happening right now. For example, many years ago, I went to SeaWorld in Orlando to see the whales, and they have a very beautiful show about how man communicates with the whales, animal, and so they have trained these whales to do fantastic things, and it's called Believe, and when you go to the show there, it's amazing. You can see, you can sense the connection and communication between man and animal. So I was looking at it on the internet at the other school a couple of days ago, and the fact that someone here in Taiwan could connect with the show at SeaWorld is amazing. So you don't have to go to Orlando to see it. You can see the show on the internet, which is really good. But it would not have the same impact, being there and experiencing the environment, the emotion, everything else. It's amazing. When you watch it on TV, you can see so much, but not as much, like being there on the spot. But at least you get an insight of what it's all about, and have a bit of an experience, so that when you go there, you already have a vision of what's going to happen, and so it makes your experience that much greater.